It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the U.S. of A. and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations. We cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Cruz.
It's the weekend, and it's time to talk about the great outdoors. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited about that. We've got a great program for you today covering shooting, hunting, and fishing from a whole bunch of different angles. We'll start off talking about becoming a better shot with a shotgun. And if you're a bird hunter, now is a very good time to start preparing for the season ahead by making sure you can actually hit what you're aiming at. Because trust me, if you've got a bird dog and that dog goes to the trouble of finding you a pheasant, a quail, a chucker, or a grouse, and you flub that shot, you are going to get a dirty look from that pup. And I've had several dogs give me that look over the years. After that, we'll chat with Kevin Jones. He and his brother Eric own Jones Arms in Sequim, Washington. And no matter where you live, if you're looking for a high-quality, custom-built AR-style rifle, these two, they can build it for you. Their motto is get it how you want it, and they'll help you do exactly that. Whether you're looking for an AR to hunt with, shoot competitively with, or use for self-defense purposes. From there, we'll talk about women who hunt. KJ Houtman is one of those women. She hails from Minnesota and has written a book on the subject full of stories about women who hunt. These women are of various ages and have various levels of expertise, but many of them share a love for hunting for some of the same specific reasons. And KJ is going to tell you more about that in a few minutes. We've got outdoors news too. All sorts of news, ranging from a salmon fishing class you can take in Alaska to an almost but not quite lucky Florida angler, and the story of a state record walleye that won't be listed in the record books. Last, but definitely not least, we'll check in with longtime guide Dan Ponziano for a West Coast fishing report. He's been fishing for striped bass in California and for sturgeon on the Columbia River bordering Oregon and Washington, and we'll catch up with him on the water to see how things are going regarding both of these species. Before we talk about fishing and women that hunt and building the perfect AR, though, let's start things off by upping our personal shooting game. Next on America Outdoors Radio, let me introduce you to our first guest this weekend. It's Tom Carpenter. He's with Pheasants Forever. He has joined us before on this show, and our topic today is going to be about becoming a better shot in the field. Tom, great to have you on the air.
Good to be here, John. Thanks for having me.
So, Tom, you just wrote a great blog piece at pheasantsforever.org called A Summer of 1,000 Shots. And it really spoke to me because prior to your Summer of 1,000 Shots, the way you prep for the season and your abilities as a shotgun shooter were pretty similar to mine. Good days, good streaks, bad streaks. Great shots, embarrassing shots, but there wasn't a whole lot of rhyme or reason. And your prep, also very similar to mine, heading out and shooting, maybe a round of skeet or a round of trap or two in August, and then heading to the field. But you decided to up your game, and A Summer of 1,000 Shots talks about how you did that.
Right. It actually appeared as an article as my back page column in Pheasants Forever Journal originally, and it was really resonating, so we posted it up as a blog post too. And basically the idea is pretty simple. I want to become a better shot. I had just early on in summer, I got my new bird dog puppy, a little Epagneul Breton, French Brittany named Lark, and I thought, I'm investing a lot of time in her, in my hunts, not only for the hunts I do, visiting chapters for Pheasants Forever, but also my own hunts. And I thought, I just want to become a better shot. And I thought it's got to be a pretty simple equation, and that is shoot more. So I committed myself to do it. I joined a very, very, very informal little Wednesday night trap league. There's a range that I'd never taken advantage of, only about 3 miles from my house. And I'd go there on the weekends and shoot, and it just sort of became its own little story of me preparing for the season. And I actually tallied it up. I did over 30 rounds of trap, a couple rounds of skeet and sporting clays, and I noticed it really did make a difference in my shooting over the course of the season.
Did you, again, this was a really informal trap league, so we're not talking about high competition here. I guess the first question I have is, did you go out and buy a trap or skeet gun, or were you basically shooting the same shotgun that you hunt with?
Actually, part of the deal, too, was I did get a new shotgun. And, I don't think shotguns are usually to blame for shooting, for either a slump, but fit and comfort, your enjoyment of that shotgun is a factor. And I got a new little Benelli Ultralight, 26-inch barrel. I like short-barreled guns because I do some grouse hunting and woodcock hunting, but I also like them just in general for the field. So that was part of my inspiration, too, as a new shotgun. But I most definitely shot every round and every shell and every round of trap and skeet and clays I shot with my hunting shotgun. That thing was like an extension of me by the end of the summer.
Did you find, like I have found, that when you went out at first, that you didn't do so well, and that there was certain shots you were good at and certain shots in terms of angles that you were just awful at, and how did you overcome that?
Well, I did get a challenge. Well, first of all, I think my first round of trap that I shot that in the summer was a 13. And I thought, well, it's not too bad. I'm over half. And my second one was a 9. And I noticed the shots I really was having the most trouble with were straightaways. And they're still sort of a challenge, especially in trap. Are they going up? Are they going down? The ones I learned to hit really well were the swinging shots, sort of those ones that angle out of the trap house.
Right.
I got a little better at skeet, but, one of the ideas that was instructed to me or suggested to me was, think of your shotgun barrel as you're spraying a garden hose, and think of your shot stream spreading out. You're not just going to shoot at a spot and have a circular pattern, but you want to spread that pattern out and maybe catch up to the bird. And that really helped in shooting with some good shooters and watching them continue to move their gun and swing it after they shot at some type of a crossing or angling target really made a difference to me in mimicking that. And I noticed myself doing that now. And I'm still working on the straightaways. Some nights I just nail them, and some nights I don't. But, my scores did start to improve. And, it was a funny thing. At first, I have a very good friend at Pheasants Forever, and she's a great shooter. Her name is Rachel Hovland. She's actually doing our shotgun showcase this year, which will be in our Upland Bird Hunting Super issue.
Nice.
And she actually, instructed me a lot and helped me a lot. And that sort of made all the difference. And having a partner did too. And she and I would shoot together a lot. And because having a partner gets you out there.
Right.
And it sort of motivates you to get out there and shoot.
Tom, I really want to talk more. You're definitely inspiring me. I'm in the same situation as you. We've got a local trap club that's just a couple of miles away, and every Wednesday night I hear the shooting down there. I think it's probably time for me to get down there and start improving my shooting. And folks, I hope you'll do the same. In the meantime, if you want to read this great article, just go to pheasantsforever.org. Just look for the blogs there, pheasantsforever.org. Pheasants Forever, great organization. I hope you'll join it as well like I have. And go ahead, improve your shooting. You might bag a few more ringnecks this year. Tom, thanks again.
Thanks for having me, John.
We've been telling you about Sportsman's Cove Lodge in Southeast Alaska for a while now, and there's a reason. They are the only Alaska lodge we talk about in this show. It's because they're truly Alaska's best lodge. The adventure starts with a float plane ride from Ketchikan, after which you'll get the chance to experience some of the best hospitality, food, and wonderful people you'll ever meet. Wildlife is abundant, from bears and deer to eagles and whales, and let's not forget the reason you're here, the fishing. Halibut, salmon, lingcod, rockfish, true cod, and more. It's all waiting for you in abundance at Sportsman's Cove Lodge. Book your trip today at alaskasbestlodge.com. That's alaskasbestlodge.com for Sportsman's Cove Lodge.
Looking to reel in the marketing opportunity of a lifetime? Then set the hook, because we've got it right here. America Outdoors Radio has sponsorships available, and we offer an affordable platform to reach thousands of listeners interested in fishing, hunting, and the outdoors. Find out more by contacting host John Cruz through his website at AmericanOutdoorsRadio.com. That's AmericanOutdoorsRadio.com. But hurry, if you wait too long, this big opportunity might just get away. That's AmericanOutdoorsRadio.com.
Game-changing. That's the best way to describe the new Scent Flash UV Triangle Flasher from Max Lure Company. This 360-degree rotational inline flasher features a scent release system attracting salmon to the lure behind it like no other flasher on the market. Soak the free scent pad with any type of oil or gel, or load up the cavity with any type of bait for fishing success beyond your wildest dreams. It's the Scent Flash UV Triangle Flasher, only from Max Lure Company.
Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, a nationwide group working to keep public lands in public hands. We've helped ban the use of drones for hunting. We help repair wildlife corridors in key riparian areas. We speak up against illegal ATV use. We collaborate with elected leaders to keep public lands in public hands. We're Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, with membership in all 50 states and Canada. Please join this dynamic conservation group. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.
You're back in with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz, and we're going to talk about modern sporting rifles, ARs in particular, because there's a whole spectrum when it comes to quality when we're talking about modern sporting firearms. It may be the military M16 you remember from your days in the service. It may be something that's on the lower end that's built by companies that might only cost $500 or $600, or it may be something on the high end. If you are looking, though, for something personalized just for you, we found a company that can make it for you. They're Jones Arms. They're located in Sequim, Washington. And with us here today to tell you more about the differences between AR rifles and how they're evolving as hunting weapons is Kevin Jones. Kevin, great to have you on the show.
Hey, thanks, John.
Let's start off with ARs and the consumer. I think most people that had ARs, if they were in the service, that's where they were introduced to them. They came onto the civilian market, semi-automatic rifles, and they started showing up in places like Big Fives and Walmarts and places like that. But let's be honest, that the quality of these entry-level ARs, at least something to be desired, doesn't it?
Yeah, it seems like the ones that you find in the generic box stores are just going to be your run-of-the-mill, for all intents and purposes, your basic builds, your things that are going to rattle when you're shooting it. And for most guys, it gets them started, gets them going. But really, if you want something special, a little bit more tighter quality and meeting the needs that you have, that's what we can do.
Well, and I want to talk about that because that was kind of the first step as you saw these gun manufacturers roll out, here's an assembly line made modern sporting rifle or AR-15 for you, go ahead and buy it and you're going to like it, or not. And so then you started seeing lots of people come out with lowers and people come out with uppers, and sometimes they would marriage the two. And that is a step better, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot better when you can focus on the mating between the upper and the lower, and that's what we specialize in. We actually machine the upper and the lower in-house in Sequim, Washington, and we hand-fit each and every gun. So that upper and that lower are now hand-fitted by somebody in our shop before it gets coated.
And that's a lot different than a lot of other places who say, we specialize in uppers or we specialize in lowers, because they're not hand-fitted to each other. I mean, they're completely different parts that may or may not marry very well to each other.
Yeah, every once in a while you'll see them, they'll be really loose or too tight where you can't actually disassemble the gun or do what you need to be doing as far as, quality control. And so what we done is that when we manufacture the upper and the lower, before it's finished out, we're actually checking all those little tolerances. We're checking all the little things. That way, when it is finished and put together, it's nice and tight, but not too tight.
And I like the fact, you are getting a firearm built from the ground up from Jones, because you actually have serial numbers not just on the lowers, but you actually have a matching one on the upper receiver too, don't you?
That's correct. Yeah, we specialize in doing that. One, for our purposes, that we know that your upper and your lower are those two, but also you as the consumer. When you get a gun from us, you can instantly look on your upper and your lower, and you know that they've been matched and mated. They're not just two that we've picked off the line and claim that they're matched and mated. No, before they're actually finished, we've actually made sure that they are nice and tight.
I'm one of those guys that owns one of those entry-level ARs that came out, and I'll admit it's not the best firearm, especially knowing that after I hold one of yours in comparison. I mean, it's basically the difference between driving a Yugo and driving a Ferrari, folks. That's the difference between ARs we're talking about here. But what I want to talk about is the fact that you specialize in different weapons for different needs. In fact, the motto of your company is get it how you want it. I absolutely love that. So you have people coming to you saying, I want the ultimate personal defense weapon. You have people coming to you saying, I want something for 3-gun competitive shooting. And you have people coming to you increasingly saying, I want an AR-15 for hunting. When somebody comes to you for that last request in particular, what are some of the common features that consumers are buying as part of weapons from you?
Well, the first thing I do is I figure out what they're going to do with the gun. What is their application? And that can sometimes be a hard thing to nail down, but once we've kind of got a good concept of the gun, of what the purpose it's going to serve, then we start going down the rabbit hole of, okay, well, what caliber do you need? Okay, and what barrel length? How far do you plan on shooting? Is this going to be a gun you're walking through the woods with? If it is, you want it to be lightweight, okay, we can do that. Or is it going to be a firearm that you're going to maybe sit in a spot and kind of wait for the target to come out in front of you? The big thing is kind of narrowing down what you want, and then we go from there. So we can do different barrel lengths, we can do different triggers, we can do different stocks. Really, it kind of comes down to what that rifle is going to serve for you, and we're happy to do it in different caliber needs, from 6.5 Grendel, 308, 6.5 Creedmoor, all those popular calibers. We've even done some odd ones. We've done 204 Ruger, and we've done some different ones as well.
So whether you're a varmint hunter or whether you're a white-tailed deer hunter, you can go ahead and specialize that firearm just for not only that species, but the exact style that they're hunting. I really like that. That's really unusual. When it comes to some of the accessories that people like, I'm guessing a scope is part of that. Is there any scope in particular that you recommend, or is it, again, just listening to the customer and trying to figure out what their needs are when it comes to the best scope for their hunting rifle?
Yeah, definitely the needs are the first thing I think about, but the first scope and company I go to for as best as I can is Leupold. Leupold's made in the USA. It's a USA company. They're Pacific Northwest. They're in Oregon. They just have a lot of values that we appreciate, and they stick true to them. They support our brand, even for the little guys that we are, and we almost always try to get somebody a Leupold optic on their gun for depending on what they need. Obviously, if you need something with a little more magnification, we go for that, or something a little more lightweight, we can do that as well. Just really comes down to what your needs are, but first word that comes out of my mouth usually is Leupold, and what can we get you in their brand?
Well, Leupold's not a sponsor of our show, but I'm a huge fan of Leupold optics. They are built in Beaverton, Oregon, and they've got high quality optics. Whether you're looking for a tactical scope or whether you're looking for something for long range precision shooting, they've got it for you, and everything in between, and different price points too. Not everything is really expensive from Leupold. They have stuff for the budget hunter in mind, and this is all stuff that you can build as part of the rifle that you're building for the customer. Again, it goes back to your tagline, get it how you want it.
That's exactly it. A lot of people think, oh, I'm just getting the rifle and that, I can just get that from Jones Arms, and that's not necessarily true. If you've got an optic in mind, or if you need a sling or a strap or a case, or, there's certain things that you don't know but you need some help or guidance in, we can get you suited out from muzzle to stock. If that's optics, if that's the right bag, or, hunting equipment, things like that. You can almost always get your complete setup completely the way you want it, which is important.
One other question for you. You're located in Washington State, in Sequim. But again, you're building these rifles for people all over the country. How far away do some of your customers live?
I think the furthest customer I have right now is out in Tennessee. He's been calling me on a regular basis. He actually built one of our 9mm competition rifles, and he's been just shooting it and loving it. He said he's been out of the competition game for 3 or 4 years now, and he did a lot of his research, and he came upon us and why our 9mm Chronos was better than all the rest. And the proof is in the pudding. When he's calling me up and he's saying he hasn't shot in 3 or 4 years and he's taken some of those wins on the local level, he's been pretty happy with it.
Well, there you go. Nice testimonial from a customer. And folks, if you want to see what they have, 2 ways to do so. You can go to their website, jonesarms.com. Really simple, jonesarms.com. Family-run business here. Good people. They're going to build you a beautiful firearm. I'm looking at several of them right now. I've had a couple in my hands. They are wonderful. So whether you're a hunter, whether you are a competitive shooter, or whether you just want the best rifle you can have for self-defense, Jones Arms, get it how you want it. Go to their website, go to their Facebook page, Jones Arms, contact them, and get the process started. Kevin, thanks for sharing this with us today on America Outdoors Radio.
Hey, thanks, John. Appreciate it.
So you sit down and do your budget, and you look at all your monthly costs and your bills and your income, and it seems like there's never quite enough. You know what would really help? Finding $500 a month to help balance things out. That is the typical savings, $500 a month for a family when you switch to Medi-Share for your health care. And when it comes to healthcare sharing ministries, Medi-Share is really the gold standard. It's been around for 25 years and has more than 400,000 members. It's been around so long and grown so much because it works. And whether you're single or married or have kids, this could make sitting down to do a monthly budget a lot more fun. $500 a month can more than cover a car payment or pay back loans, whatever. So join Medi-Share and go out to dinner to celebrate. Here's the number to call. They are incredibly kind and helpful to talk to. 855-90-BIBLE. That's 855-90-BIBLE. 855-90-BIBLE.
You're back in with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. And you know what? According to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, you are more likely than ever to see a woman out in the woods, prairies, or marshes hunting these days. In fact, there's some 1.1 million women doing so. But what drives women to hunt? It's a question worth asking, and KJ Houtman is tackling that question in her brand new book. Beautiful book, Why Women Hunt. KJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, John.
So KJ, Why Women Hunt, published by Wild River Press. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about what they're going to find inside the pages?
I interviewed a group of 18 women for this book, and I asked all of them the same question: tell me about a hunt that changed you. And the stories they told me are really all quite interesting. Some of the women are gals who grew up hunting from the time they were very young. They really have no memory of not hunting. Others embraced hunting as something new into their teens, 20s, or even their 50s. And we have women from Alabama to Alaska, from Colorado to Oregon to New York. We span 19 years of age to grandmas and everything in between. We have some women who are former vegetarians. We have country gals. We have urban dwellers. And each of them, their paths to hunting were quite unique and varied. Not all the women in this book are hardcore, although some are. We didn't look for the 18 most experienced women hunters. We wanted some novice hunters in this book on purpose, and I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Well, I think it's a great concept, but let's start with you. You're a hunter yourself. How did you get into the sport, and what do you love most when it comes to hunting?
Well, I have to tell you, my long time career is really in the sport fishing side of the industry. And my story is in this collection of 18 stories in this book as well. I have a 30-year career in the sport fishing industry, and I was certainly around hunters during all of that time. But for me, it wasn't until I was on the ice on Lake Winnebago in Wisconsin sturgeon spearing that it opened my eyes to the fact that I was really much more hunting than fishing at that moment. There's really nothing about sturgeon spearing that's about fishing. And as soon as I realized that, I thought, wow, I'm really enjoying this. This is something I'm really kind of caught up in the thrill. I want to participate. I want to be successful. And I took that passion from that experience and said, maybe I can hunt. And I started honing my long-range rifle skills. I got a bow and started practicing. And as a new grandma in my 50s, I began hunting. So there's so much for me to still learn and do, but I've been turkey hunting, deer hunting, antelope hunting, pheasant hunting, and it's really good for me when I get outdoors.
I love it. I absolutely love it. You know, you've got a lot of stories, like you said, about different women who came to be hunters for different reasons. Is there one of the stories in particular of the 18 women you talked to that really stands out?
I don't know if I can pinpoint one woman per se, but I will say that in several instances, there was a great deal of healing from hunting. And that healing came through maybe overcoming grief of losing a loved one, or the grief of losing a marriage to divorce, or the grief of losing body parts to a cancer battle, or just the grief that goes through some of the challenges of life. And several women talked about how getting outdoors made life more real for them and more honest, and they found great strength in it. And for them, hunting is very much a part of the outdoor experience. And one surprise I did have in the book was that several women spoke of their trips to Africa. And it was never something that was on my radar for a bucket list, but it is now, after hearing what they had to say. They all spoke about how their life was clearly delineated between before Africa and after Africa, and it really changed them for the better, and I found that really exciting.
Wow. You know, it's interesting you say that. I was actually at the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers Rendezvous in Boise a few weeks ago, and, you know, it was just over lunch, just struck up a conversation with a young lady who was there as an attendee, and she had taken up hunting after a domestic violence relationship, of all things, and that helped her get the confidence to go ahead and break away from that relationship, and she just embraced hunting. It was one of the most interesting stories I'd ever heard of how and why somebody fell in love with hunting, but this is good stuff that you're really covering here. Let's talk about similarities. Did you find, outside of the Africa story, any similarities that kept popping up that you'd start nodding your head at as you asked these women the same questions?
I would say that a concern for the ethical conduct when they're outdoors was very prevalent across all the women. And that's not just for the moments that they're outdoors, but also for their conduct on social media, because they all felt that there's a place that we can do a much better job. And I would say women, by and large, are far less into measuring and showmanship, and their focus is far more on good conservation and the quest for good organic meat. As you said, getting outdoors and hunting for this one woman you spoke to, and for many of the women in these stories, they discovered that they could do something, and that was incredibly empowering. Sometimes they were new things and even things that they were afraid of, like heights, and they found out that they could tackle it and succeed, and that really builds confidence. And you can carry that over into your relationships, into your work, and into quite a few other things. And so I would also say that for some of them, they really focused on solitude and a chance to have reflection and regeneration. But in some cases, it was also about fellowship and family and friends and good camaraderie. So it can be both.
You're absolutely right. And I think that's what draws a lot of us to the sport of hunting. Really interesting what you said about ethics, though, because as you were telling me that, I was running through my mind because, as we both know, unfortunately, there's a lot of bad actors out there who get in trouble for poaching. And I can only think of literally one woman in the last 5 years where I've seen a news article for getting in trouble for doing something unethical in the field. It's almost always us men who are doing it. And maybe, like you said, it comes down to measuring. Maybe it comes down to the pressure to perform. This almost sounds like a Viagra commercial, but it's not meant to. I'm just saying that. There's something there, I think, about the whole ethics issue that I would say maybe women are a little more advanced than us men when it comes to that at times.
Well, I don't know if it's that. What I think it is that women are more likely to want to compete with themselves than to compete with someone else. And so I think women are going to stretch themselves. What can I do this time that I didn't think I could do before? What am I going to set for a new goal? Am I going to try something new, and is that going to help me feel like, hey, I did that, I accomplished something? And, that part of the sort of emotional high endorphin rush that we can get. Whereas I don't know if that exists in the same way for men, but it certainly was prevalent for the women I interviewed.
All right. How can we use this book to get more women into hunting? Because I'm guessing that's one of the reasons you wrote it.
For sure. And I would love for folks listening to this to buy and read the book. For hunters of either gender, I would say buy it for yourself or buy it as a gift. I think any woman can find herself within the pages of this book, whether she is a lifelong hunter or someone who's never been hunting before. I would say even for an anti-hunter in one outdoor family circle, there's always that one aunt or that one somebody that just doesn't get it. And it's possible that this book could really open their eyes to what it's about. I do think some men might discover a few things about women and might see things a little differently. In the pages of Why Women Hunt, we show a diverse cross-section. So there are 18 stories. They are very unique. Some women are hardcore and incredibly talented, having hunted the world over, and others are new to hunting and exploring where they fit in. And I just loved all their experiences afield.
Well, folks, if you want to read these stories about women who are hunting, just go to the following website. It's whywomenhunt.com. That's right. It's named right after the book, Why Women Hunt. Whywomenhunt.com. This is a brand new book coming out this month. You can order it now. And one last question. If folks order off whywomenhunt.com, do they get an autographed copy?
I think there is an option of that on the site, so go for it. I think that sounds wonderful. And it's a 4-color, beautiful photography in this book. Hardcover, the photos throughout the book are just beautiful, and I just think people would appreciate the stories as well as a great coffee table type of book to launch more conversations in their home.
Whywomenhunt.com. That's the website to go to. Order your copy today. I think you're going to like it. KJ, thanks for sharing this with us today on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mark Hemstreet, owner of Shiloh Inns. Shiloh is proud to be celebrating over 40 years of providing you, our valued Shiloh customers, with Shiloh's sincere friendliness, efficient customer service, and clean, comfortable, attractive, non-smoking rooms and suites, all at an affordable price. Shiloh also offers many free amenities like free Wi-Fi and free continental breakfast or hot, full, delicious breakfast at most Shiloh Inns, as well as pools, spas, steam, sauna rooms, exercise fitness facilities, and business centers. And even the kids stay free. And for you dog lovers, Shiloh is very dog friendly. So ask your best friend where he or she wants to stay. Next time you're traveling for business or pleasure, we think you'll get a paws up for Shiloh Inns. For reservations, call 1-800-222-2244 or visit our website at shilohinns.com. Shiloh Inns, affordable excellence. American family owned and proud of it.
We've been telling you about Sportsman's Cove Lodge in Southeast Alaska for a while now, and there's a reason. They are the only Alaska lodge we talk about in this show. It's because they're truly Alaska's best lodge. The adventure starts with a float plane ride from Ketchikan, after which you'll get the chance to experience some of the best hospitality, food, and wonderful people you'll ever meet. Wildlife is abundant, from bears and deer to eagles and whales, and let's not forget the reason you're here, the fishing. Halibut, salmon, lingcod, rockfish, true cod, and more. It's all waiting for you in abundance at Sportsman's Cove Lodge. Book your trip today at alaskasbestlodge.com. That's alaskasbestlodge.com for Sportsman's Cove Lodge.
Looking to reel in the marketing opportunity of a lifetime? Then set the hook, because we've got it right here. America Outdoors Radio has sponsorships available, and we offer an affordable platform to reach thousands of listeners interested in fishing, hunting, and the outdoors. Find out more by contacting host John Cruz through his website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. But hurry, if you wait too long, this big opportunity might just get away. That's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com.
There's a place where the fishing is year-round, where the sun shines 300 days a year. The wineries and breweries are right downtown. The hiking and cycling offers spectacular views you just don't get in the big cities. Fortunately, the place is real and vibrant. It's the Dalles, Oregon, just 90 short minutes from Portland, along the gorgeous Columbia River, where the adventures are limited only by your imagination. Find out more at explorethedalles.com.
You're back in with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. We've got some outdoors news, and we're going to start off in Alaska because our listeners tuning in today to our show on KBYR AM 700 in Anchorage may want to head to the William Jack Hernandez Fish Hatchery this Wednesday the 12th at 6 p.m. That's when Alaska Fish and Game is putting on an Intro to Sockeye Salmon Fishing Seminar. You'll learn all the basics you need so that you can be successful catching what is truly one of the tastiest fish there are to eat. The class is free, but pre-registration is required, and you can do that at the Alaska Fish and Game Hunting and Fishing Forum webpage. Heading to Tampa Bay, Florida, one angler is kicking himself and singing the blues because, by all rights, he should have won a $40,000 pickup and a $70,000 contender boat last weekend when he reeled in a tagged redfish that was the prize winner. The problem, according to an article in the Outdoor Wire, is that this lucky, or should I say almost lucky or even unlucky angler, didn't buy a $75 ticket to compete in the Coastal Conservation Association's Florida Star Tournament, where this grand prize was being given away. The annual event is a promotion for the organization and brings in new members signing up for the tournament, where a total of $400,000 in prizes and scholarships are awarded to anglers who catch those tagged redfish that they release. Last weekend was the opening week of the event, which runs through September 2nd, and there are plenty of other tagged redfish to catch and prizes to win, assuming you enter the Derby before you catch those tagged redfish. Our next stop is North Dakota. As you may recall, we told you about a record walleye that was caught this spring. Tom Volk is the angler who reeled in the 16-pound, 9-ounce monster, but it turns out he's not getting credit for it being an official state record after all. The reason why? According to the Billings Gazette, the fish was foul hooked, and a snagged fish doesn't count as a fair caught fish for the record books. That's the determination made by North Dakota Game and Fish, who investigated the circumstances around the catch. They indicate that while the fish was foul hooked, it was not intentionally snagged. Volk, on his part, denies snagging the fish, says it was hooked in the mouth, but the state of North Dakota has their own witnesses stating otherwise. Oh well, I guess the old record, a 15-pound, 13-ounce walleye that was caught just over a year ago, will stand for now, but it sounds like there's some pretty big walleye in North Dakota, and I suspect this record's going to fall soon. Our final guest today on America Outdoors Radio is Dan Ponciano, the owner of Dan Ponciano Guide Service. He fishes all over the West Coast, you might say. He spent the month of May fishing the Sacramento River in Northern California, and now he's coming at us on the water from Astoria on the mighty Columbia River. Dan, great to have you on the show.
Great to be here. Good talking to you, John.
Well, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. It's been way too long since we've had you on, but I thought we'd get basically a multi-state fishing report from you. And why don't we start off with the Sacramento River and those striped bass you've been going after this spring. How was it this year in Northern California?
Things started a little bit slow just because we had so much water. The Feather River produced actually the whole time, and then the Sacramento River was just high and muddy for a while, and really we didn't get going on that till about the 1st of May, where typically you're catching good numbers in there by, mid-April at least.
Now, I know you've headed back up to the border of Oregon and Washington. You're going to be doing your summer fishing there. But for those who are still interested in catching striped bass on the Sacramento River, the Feather River, is the season still going on? Is it viable through the month of June?
It is this year just because we had so much high water. Typically it starts winding down a little bit, later May and into the 1st of June, but heck, they're catching plenty of fish on both of them, both the Sac and the Feather River. And probably if you were leaning towards the most consistent spot, it would probably be the feather.
When it comes to the striped bass of Northern California, what's an average fish? What's a good fish?
Typical fish is just going to be that barely legal fish, anything over 18 inches. So you're getting a lot of fish in that 18 to 21 inch range. And when you're getting anything from 26 and up, the 7 to 10 pounds, those are better fish. With there's been just a handful of fish caught that are in that 30-pound class and bigger, but the 25 to 35 pounders are pretty few and far between.
Do you have a go-to technique that you use when fishing these rivers for stripers?
Well, that's kind of the fun part of it, is there's a lot of different techniques that you can use, but to just flat put the most fish on the end of the line fishing live minnows is pretty tough to beat.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Let's head north to the border of Oregon and Washington, the mouth of the Columbia River. You've set up shop. I know that later on, those summer Chinook are going to be coming in and lots of coho, great run expected. But until then, you're going to be fishing for catch and release sturgeon, and there's a lot of sturgeon in the estuary, isn't there?
Extremely consistent fishery. There is a catch and kill season going on, and the projected last day is the 5th, but the quota's, I don't think, even close to being caught, so I could definitely see the possibility of maybe 1 or 2 more days. And it's been Monday, Wednesday, Saturdays are the retention days, but the best fishing is always around the middle of June, the 12th to the 15th, right in there. From there all the way through July, we average probably 30 to 35 a day, and then the average size is about 5 foot. So the average size sturgeon, compared to years ago, is at least a full foot bigger.
Folks, think about this. You and your friends head out in a boat with Dan, sunny summer day along the border of Oregon and Washington, the Columbia River, and you're reeling in 30 to 35 fish a day, average size 5 feet. And folks, these sturgeon on the Columbia, they'll get up to 11 feet long. And even the smaller ones, the 3-footers, they put up a great fight. They will jump, they will run, they will tug, they will pull. This is not just a good time. It's a great workout too, isn't it?
It's by far my favorite fishery. It's just exactly like you're talking about. You don't have the big crowds, and it's beautiful weather. You're right down at the coast, and I just don't know anywhere else that you can average those kind of numbers with that kind of weight.
So, Dan, I've got to ask, do you have some openings for this catch and release sturgeon fishery in June and July? And come August, are you going to have some openings for salmon fishing for both kings and coho?
I've got room both ways. There's definitely some slots in there for whatever anybody's looking for, whether it's just a fun day catching a bunch of sturgeon and or fishing the peak of our salmon run, which will be that first 20 days of August.
All right. Well, folks, the place to go to if you want to book a trip with Dan Ponciano, who, by the way, is one of the better-known guides in the Pacific Northwest, is ColumbiaRiverFishing.com. He's been doing this a long time. He's got a great reputation. The website, ColumbiaRiverFishing.com. You can also find him on Facebook. Just look for Dan Ponciano Guide Service. Dan, thanks for the update, and I hope you have a great day on the water today.
Great talking with you, John. We'll be in touch.
It's time for the Trail of Shame.
Shame, shame on you. Shame, shame on you.
Stories of poachers, scoundrels, and other ne'er-do-wells, so if you see someone committing a criminal act on the water or in the field, turn them in. It's the right thing to do.
His name is Brandon Shewan. He's a 23-year-old who's worked as a hunting guide. He lives in Montana, and in his spare time, he poaches game animals. Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Park investigators got a tip Shewan poached a bull elk and left everything but the head in Yellowstone County in 2017. When game wardens went to his home to chat with him, he ran out the back door carrying several animal skulls. The wardens caught up with him, and Shewan admitted to illegally killing 4 6- or 7-point bull elk, as well as 2 pronghorn antelope, and for good measure, 2 turkeys. According to the Billings Gazette, Shewan was sentenced to 500 hours of community service, has to serve 10 years probation, and is saddled with a $33,000 fine. Oh, and he also lost his right to hunt, fish, or trap for the rest of his life. Personally, I would have liked to have seen some jail time thrown in on top of this, but it's nice to know Schuin won't be hunting anymore. So take a bow, Brandon. You definitely deserve to be walking our trail of shame this week.
Shame on you.
The hour grows short and it's time to wrap things up. But if you get a chance, like and follow us on our Facebook page at America Outdoors Radio. And we've got a website too, AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com, where you can hear our most recent episode and get a preview of what's coming up. You'll also find links to the sponsors that support this program. If you like to listen to the show online, you can do so on TalkAmericaRadio.us every Saturday morning from 6 to 7 a.m. Eastern Time. And then you'll have plenty of time to go fishing, hiking, or camping, or whatever else you want to do after that for the weekend. Here's hoping the good Lord blesses you in the days ahead, and hopefully you're going to be blessed with some time outside. So until next time, do remember this. It is your country and your outdoors, so get out there and enjoy it.